it's Doris with all the books. Pardon the hair, I've been doing yard work and we're at the it is what it is stage in the afternoon. I should have done the video before the yard work, but you gotta go with what the mood strikes you with on a Sunday afternoon. So I'm here to do the My Pleasure book tag. I was tagged by the absolutely lovely Claire, and this is a great tag, and I have struggled with it because, you know, it's one of those tags where you pick books to go with the topics, and some of the topics are a little daunting for different reasons. So, but I'm finally doing it. I've picked kind of a very eclectic and unexpected stack of books. So I think that's good to, you know, talk about some books that don't necessarily get talked about all the time. And disclaimer, I haven't written the questions down, just the keywords, so I'm totally paraphrasing. But I will list, I'll at least link Claire below so that you can see the questions for real. Anyway, the first topic is Think, and it's a book that really made you think hard. And for that one, I grabbed Sing Unburied Sing by Jessamine Ward. I've mentioned this before. I didn't enjoy this book really at all. I have a real problem with drug abuse from a personal perspective. I have a problem with politics involved in drugs, current time frame, speaking politically. Yeah, and from the standpoint of a parent with drug addiction interacting with their children, I am just simply not empathetic. So that was a large chunk of this book, and the apathetic nature of these parents was just horrendous, and I hated it. The other thing that I thought about a lot was that I felt this book didn't leave any hope. It was just kind of, things are going to stay the same. There's not going to be any changes, any improvements in the situation. The cycle continues, and it's really sad. And the thing that I think about the most with that is I think that's the author's intent. And I mentioned this before when I wrapped it up. I think, having read Ta-Nehisi Coates' We Were 8 Years in Power, there was one of his essays that really addressed this concept of hopelessness in literature, and sometimes it needs to be there so you can think. So, I mean, this book really makes me think. I still think about it to this day, even though I don't like it. So there you go. The next one is Love, a book that broke or mended your heart, and for that one I grabbed The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm going to admit to a bit of stereotyping snobbishness with this. Reading The 7 Husbands in the title of Evelyn Hugo, I just had some preconceived notions about it, and I really just grabbed it because a lot of people were reading it, and I got it at a library book sale, and I don't know, I just didn't think it was going to be all that. I thought it was going to be light and, you know, a poolside read kind of thing. This book had so much depth. There's a lot of things that are not really what you would expect in here, and it did break my heart in a couple places. I cried, definitely, and the way it tied up and the plot twists were just really great. Really great read. I highly recommend it. The next one is Eat, and this is a book that nourishes your soul, I guess, or nourishes you. I just went with the nourish your soul aspect. And for that one, I grabbed A Sting in the Tail by Dave Goulson from my Little Bee collection of books. I read this last year and found it absolutely charming. I love bees, I love flowers, I love nature, I love bugs. I love photographing them every spring and summer, and They just make me incredibly, incredibly happy. And to read a book, this is written by a professor who spends his life studying bumblebees. And to see someone who is completely immersed in nature in the same way that I love it, it's just, it does nourish my soul. I loved it, and I'm looking forward to, I'm looking at it, A Buzz in the Meadow, which I've been saving to read this spring by the same author. He purchased a piece of land in France and is letting it go fallow, and is going to study the nature that comes back to it. So love that kind of stuff. The next one is a book that makes you laugh. Well, I wanted to tell you about Furiously Happy, but I've lent that out to a friend that I think needs to read it. And I wanted to talk about Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, and I've lent that out to my sister. But I've talked about those books a lot. So I found this one on my shelves, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963. This book, outside of the next topic, this book could hit every topic on this list. It is so profound. This is a middle grade read. I'm sure that you can imply from the title a lot of what it's about. It's the civil rights movement and racism and segregation in between the southern and the northern U.S. in the 60s, obviously. The author is so brilliant. This book, this family that you're introduced to, the Watsons, their relationship with each other is just beautiful. The parents are just spot on, incredible, incredible parents. The family, the dad is so funny. The mom is the perfect straight guy to him, and it is absolutely delightful. Laugh out loud at points, and it will break your heart. This is a great, great book. I just can't say enough and often enough how great that one is. It's a Newbery Honor book as well. The next one is Sex, and it's supposed to be something to the effect of a book that had sex that wasn't cringeworthy, I think. Something like that. And I feel very apathetic about this title. Ambivalent. I was just whatever. But then I decided to tell you about my Regency romance addiction. So, I read a lot now. A lot since discovering BookTube. And I read a lot as a kid. But when I had a child of my own, I was midstream in Harry Potter number 4, and you guys are going to think this is sacrilegious, but right in the middle of Harry Potter number 4, and I quit reading it. Cold turkey. I just couldn't. It was consuming, and I didn't even get back. I don't know when the 7th book came out, because, you know, I don't know, Harry Potter was a little past my time, but I read them all and loved them, and I've read them with my kid, so don't shoot me. But yeah, when the 7th came out, then I frantically reread number 4 and power read 5 and 6 and then 7, because I was afraid somebody was going to spoil the ending for me. But all that to say, having a kid, and I was a single parent and full-time school teacher, obviously, and I had a couple of part-time jobs as well, work from home kind of jobs, but I didn't have a lot of time, and reading kind of consumes me, so I didn't read much at all. But every once in a while I would get the urge and grab some Regency romance from the drugstore. So yeah. Totally. Julia Quinn is one of my favorite Regency romance authors, and this is one that I just could not ever bear to give away. I've read it, at least my favorite parts, several times, and it's just fun. This one is a spinster. She's 28, and she starts writing to a widower His wife has committed suicide, and he has 2 young children that are kind of getting out of hand. And he's a botanist. She's got 4 older brothers, and they end up coming and beating this guy's butt, and it's just funny and delightful and charming, and I love it. So, Regency romance addiction in those years. Yeah, I didn't start reading hardcore, well, not even hardcore, but I started back into reading the 52 books a year thing when my son hit double digits, and he's 14 now. So yeah, now I'm in triple digits when he hit his teen years, I guess. Anyway, the next topic is rest, and I think that was like a book that made you feel calm or something to that effect. So I picked All Things Bright and Beautiful by James Herriot. This is my groovy early 80s edition. I don't know how I got into James Herriot when I was a kid, but yeah, I was completely in love with James Herriot. I got the box set for Christmas one year, and James Herriot's Yorkshire the next Christmas. But these books are so soothing. It's a country vet's life back in the day. These are more or less his memoirs, kind of, although I think they're written as fiction. But yeah, these are just so sweet. I loved them, and still like reading bits and pieces now and then. And then the last one is Experience, and it's a book that changed your perspective in some way. And so with that one, I'm going with Genesis, Truman, American Jews, and the Origins of the Arab-Israeli Conflict by John B. Judas. Yeah, I read, I think it was in January, I read a lot of books set in the Middle East, and this one really explained things to me. And you don't have to read the whole thing. I would say the introduction and the first couple of chapters are sufficient, because it is rather textbooky and detailed. But the introduction and the first chapter or two really explain the gist of the message. But I just grew up, you know, feeling traumatized by the thought of the Holocaust, and I don't know what to say. You know, you want to be politically correct, I guess, but the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is, you know, this explains it. The Zionist movement and the things that were done to create this homeland for the Jews, and the impact they had on the people living there already, and the just complete disregard for their lives, and their ineptitude in many ways that caused it. It's just profound how much politics are abused on just a daily basis. Kind of blew me away. But, you know, it's just not as clear cut as, you know, people would have us think. It's interesting and sad, and, you know, as the world turns. Anyway, I am totally not prepared for who I should tag. So yeah, who should I tag? I think I will tag, I don't know. I usually am so much better than this. I will tag, let me tag, I don't know if these people have done this, but let me tag some of my, my buddy reads. I'm reading Sight with Keriann, and I will link them all below. I'm reading Sight with Keriann, so I will tag her. I'm reading Catherine with Katie and Bree, so I will tag both of them. I'm reading I'm not reading Jenny. I'm reading Bel Canto with Jenni King. So I will tag her, and that's good enough. That's good enough. So yes, I will link all those down below, and Claire and the questions. So thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon.